I played football on Sunday for the first time since tweaking my hamstring a couple of weeks ago. I didn't pull it, I just tweaked it. We won 4-3 against a good side, which was lovely. I came home and went straight to bed, and there I stayed for the next 23 hours, apart from getting the kids from school, which was a real struggle. I slept that whole time in jeans and 3 tops, and I was still cold and still shivering. Anyway, I've been to the gym this morning and I feel an awful lot better. Thanks for asking. So, Jeremy Corbyn won. Well done to him. It's certainly going to make politics a little bit more interesting, isn't it? Did you hear David Cameron, the day before the Labour leader was even announced? He said that Labour no longer represent working people.
Whoever wins the Labour leadership tomorrow, this is now a party that has completely vacated the intellectual playing field and no longer, in my view, properly represents working people.
Cameron honestly wants us to believe that the Tories represent working people, that the Tories represent anybody other than their bank of friends, by cutting their tax credits, allowing hundreds of thousands of more children to slip into poverty, by cutting services left, right and centre. The Tory are the party of the bankers and Satan, hardly the party of the workers. The local park where my son's football team train is also a very popular dog walking park. Well, it's now only having 2/3 of the grass cut. It's a massive park. The other third of the park is just being left to become overgrown. This is because of the cuts. The cuts that the Tories are doing to pay the bankers back money that has never, does never and will never exist. And these cuts are only going to get worse. Something has to give. The media were incredible yesterday morning about Jeremy Corbyn. I woke up to the BBC and Sky News both screaming about how awful Jeremy Corbyn was because he hadn't given any women so-called top jobs. Initially, the way it was reported, I thought that he hadn't given any jobs to women at all. Sky News repeat everything about 5 times an hour, but Jeremy Corbyn's apparent walk of silence, geez, that was almost on a loop. It was ridiculous. That was the only thing they played. I'm guessing Jeremy Corbyn wouldn't answer any questions about apparently not appointing any women during his walk of silence because he hadn't actually finished the appointments. Now that he has, we see that he's appointed more women than men. A lot more women, I might add, than the Bullingdon Boy Tories have appointed. And somehow, I don't know how he's done it, but he's managed to convince Boris Johnson to join his team. Here he is, sat to the left of Corbyn. You can see how the media are going to play Jeremy Corbyn already. He isn't going to have a chance, unfortunately, because he offers something other than what has continued to happen for decades, i.e. just feed the bankers. He's demonised. I hope that in a few months' time the opinion polls suggest that he's doing okay, but we'll see. Anyway, whilst the media have been focusing on Jeremy Corbyn and telling us how awful he is, wanting workers' rights, equality for women, not wanting more nuclear weapons on the planet, not wanting to kill off the poor, for wanting free education, for not wanting to kill innocent people in a far-off land, what else has been going on? Well, we've paid a record £106 million to MPs via backhanders. Expenses. If it was backhanders, that figure would be 10 times that. We even had this trollop MP claim 2p for stationery. Unbelievable. Okay, it's a Daily Mail article, but so what? The MP still claimed it. The MPs have claimed more money than when the expenses scandal hit. We've gone back to sleep. We think the expenses are now under control. They obviously aren't. This is a record. £106 million claimed by these thieves. But X Factor's on. That's far more important. What are you going to do when you wake up and 30, 40, even some reports say 50% of UK jobs are taken by robots virtually overnight, and all these people are then starving on the streets? I bet you won't be interested in X Factor then. You may not be interested in politics, but believe me, politics is interested in you. We've also had the government, the same government that claims to be all moralistic about other people, wanting to help save everyone, and that they're always doing the right thing. Well, this apparent people-loving government have invited countries with appalling human rights record to last week's arms fair in London. These countries will buy arms, making Tory donors loads of money, and they will kill their own people with these very shiny, new UK-made weapons. And our moralistic, people-loving government that are so loving they allow the poor to die of starvation in their own country won't do anything unless, of course, Murdoch and the Rothschilds want that country so they can drill for oil. This government is an utter disgrace. Is this what modern politics is all about? Selling weapons to despots to kill their own people? I wonder if Cameron's invited ISIS to the arms fair. Speaking of ISIS, we had this article recently. ISIS manufacturing and using chemical weapons in Iraq and Syria, US official claims. Evidence is mounting that ISIS could be both manufacturing and using chemical weapons in Syria and Iraq. Months of reports by Kurdish forces fighting the so-called Islamic State sparked the start of an investigation by the US and a United Nations probe earlier this year. No findings have been announced by either group, but an anonymous UN official told the BBC that at least 4 attacks using powdered mustard agent have been documented on both sides of the Syrian border. It was the rebels that fired the chemical weapons in 2013 that led to the first Syria bombing vote that was defeated. Who gave ISIS these weapons? This just stinks of Iraq all over again, doesn't it? Chemical weapons, blah blah blah, terror group created by America, gone bad, blah blah blah, blah blah, bad man Assad, blah blah blah, ISIS, blah blah blah. The US government cannot be trusted. They have the technology to read your wristwatch from space, but they can't find a chemical weapons lab or an oil refinery in the middle of the desert. Bollocks! They're lying to you. 1 in 50 Syrian refugees in Europe could be an ISIS jihadist. Minister warns David Cameron. 1 in 50 Syrian refugees entering Europe could be a member of ISIS. Dun dun dun! Lebanese government minister has said. Al-Qaeda, the country's education minister, suggested as many as 2% of refugees from Syria may be jihadis sent by the so-called Islamic State. Mr. Sobber said he had no firm information on terrorist infiltration of refugees, but said his gut feeling told him it was happening. He probably forgot that ISIS themselves, via their social media and Facebook posts, which never get taken down by the way, said this themselves back in February. ISIS threatens to send 500,000 migrants to Europe as a psychological weapon, in chilling echo of Gaddafi's prophecy that the Mediterranean will become a sea of chaos. With gut feelings like that, they should have put this Lebanese government minister in charge of the David Kelly murder investigation. I wonder if there'll be a Syrian war, David Kelly. I mean, it's obvious David Kelly was murdered, if you've studied his case. Could it be one of these guys? Exclusive. 50 spies say ISIS intelligence was cooked. More than 50 intelligence analysts working out of the US Military Central Command have formally complained that their reports on ISIS and Al-Qaeda's branch in Syria were being inappropriately altered by senior officials, the Daily Beast learned. The complaint spurred the Pentagon's Inspector General to open an investigation into the alleged manipulation of intelligence. Iraq. The fact that so many people complain suggests there are deep-rooted systemic problems in how the US military command, charged with the war against the self-proclaimed Islamic State, assesses intelligence. Iraq. The cancer was within the senior level of the intelligence command, one defense official said. Iraq. Oh my God, America wouldn't be fixing evidence to have another war, would they? You mean the most terroristic country on the planet wants to commit more terror through dodgy intelligence against terrorists they created? Iraq. Unbelievable. They think you are genuinely stupid. I believe that David Cameron, in all seriousness, wants an attack from ISIS in the UK. He wants the attack because he will then have everybody crying out to have something done, and that something will be save and copy and keep everything we do online, every phone call, whoever we talk to. Just save us from the terrorists that the West created, trained, funded and armed into existence. Oh, and also the same terrorists that you, Cameron, handed Libya to after bombing in 2011. If there is an attack, the X Factor watchers will demand boots on the ground to fight ISIS. But our government isn't offering to just fight ISIS. They want to fight Assad and now the Russians who are in Syria as well. Cameron is clearly insane, because this could lead to nuclear war. ISIS are a despicable bunch, don't get me wrong, and they need to be destroyed. The first option has to be stopping America arming them and stopping Saudi Arabia funding them. This would stop them in their tracks, but failing that, the only way to stop them is to do what former SAS soldier Chris Ryan is suggesting in this article. Britain needs to destroy ISIS now by joining forces with Putin and Assad, says Chris Ryan. Britain needs to form a controversial alliance with Vladimir Putin and Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad in order to destroy the growing threat of Islamic State, it has been claimed today. Teaming up with Assad and Russia to defeat ISIS. Will we do it? No. Cameron wants to get other people's sons and other people's daughters to fight all of them. But of course, he and all his cronies will be miles away just selling the weapons, probably having a cup of tea and a biscuit somewhere. Unbelievable.